You know, a lot of people could be like, oh, you're being bitter and, you know, jaded with all this stuff, blah, 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 this and that. And you know what? I can see why it's perceived that way. Honestly, not, though. It's just that I live in Chicago on the south side. It's a highly condensed urban area. So what that kind of equates to with like all the gym stuff is that you have some of the like most delusional people living false realities all packed in together all the time. And I run into a lot of ridiculous stuff. It's not like, oh, I hate you. Like I don't hate you. I actually think the only way to truly hate someone is to know them, right? Like you can like you don't hate the person that cut you off in traffic, but you can hate your wife. But yeah. I see a lot of like goofy stuff all the time, and it like makes me wonder what the cause is. I mean, it's obviously it boils down to just like being oblivious to everything, but it's because people are so inundated with like a million fucking different. I shouldn't have swore. I'm trying not to swear as much, and I just did it. Yeah, people are like inundated with a bunch of different kinds of methodologies, and they're like incorporating all the wrong bits and taking everything out of context all at once. You see all kinds of goofy stuff, like, and you know, sometimes people like to have fun too. Like I saw a video of Regan Grimes recently, like laying down in an adductor machine and doing lateral raises with it, just like messing around. But kids are gonna see that and they're gonna start doing that in the gym now, and just like yeah, you're right. Like that guy messing around, that's how he got that big. The engineer that made this piece of gym equipment had no idea what he was doing. You go ahead and use that machine however you want. And it just, there's a lot of ridiculousn's like that. Or like back on false realities, like there's so many people like, oh, I'm taking things serious. I'm being so serious about everything. And they're like, this is all that matters to me. I'll do whatever it takes. Except this long laundry list of things. Like not drinking on the weekend, not doing recreational drugs, getting enough sleep, eating 6 times a day, staying hydrated, cutting out bad habits, not skipping workouts, like a long laundry list of things, like doing mobility work, stretch, like things like that. So it's like, okay, well, do you actually care about that thing you said you're going to do all it takes for? Because that really doesn't sound like it. Or do you just like the idea of it? Because those are two separate things. A lot of people say they want things, and really they just like the idea of it. Like if you actually truly want something that requires a lot out of you, you're gonna do it. You're not gonna complain about making sacrifices for it because it matters that much. But if you just like the idea of it, you're gonna mess around and not take it serious and say you are, and like get upset about everything. And I run into that a lot. Like people like that are no better than people that hire me and like send me a page-long message about how they're ready to turn their life around, and then they pay me and I write them out a whole plan that took me a lot of time to make, and then they never check in. They just disappear forever. There's like, that's most people. They like the idea of getting in shape, but when they actually are presented with all the things to do to accomplish that, they're like, whoa, what's all this work for? And they just disappear. And you know what? It's not like, oh, like you're a bad person, you're not disciplined with that. It's like, the thing is, like, with those people, they're living a false reality because they just exclaimed that something was a priority that obviously is not to them. They just like the idea of it. They like the idea of being in shape, but not doing all the things to achieve and maintain that. They just like the idea of it. And it's all right if fitness is not a priority in your life, but being able to accurately assess the things that matter to you and then list them all out in descending order and focusing on them in that kind of way, like that takes a lot of thoughtfulness. And most people are not thoughtful. Most people are just operating on autopilot every moment, every day of their lives. And like that's I guess fine. Like it doesn't bother me because I'm not them. I'm not living their life. They're not living mine. Like I really don't care what you do as long as you're not hurting other people. But you just run into lots of goofiness. At least in like the area I am. I mean, I see lots of goofiness online too that like further, justifies this outlook, which is tough too, right? You got to make sure of things. You're like, well, am I just going by confirmation bias? Most people like relying on that, but you just see a lot of goofiness all the time. I see people that like they kind of want a pat on the back for showing up every day, and it's like, why you want to be commended for showing up and doing this thing that you don't have to do. No one's requiring you to do it, right? Like I see people that go on stage and they talk about how like it's the hardest thing in the world and this and that, and they should like they can do things other people can't, and then they complain about being hungry the whole time, and all they do is complain about it all the way up into show day. And it's like, why are you complaining? No one's making you do this. It's actually a privilege to be able to do this, right? There's people out there that bodybuilding is their favorite sport, and they're missing an arm or a leg, and they aren't able to like do a bench press as you would be able to, but you're in the gym feeling a little sore, complaining about it. Like, shame on you. Like, no one's making you do this. Don't complain. Even when I had a mishap in the gym and I actually tore my bicep, like I didn't complain about it. I was like, oh man, this sucks, and there was a little bit of sulking and grieving about it that took place. But like I never once was like, oh, I regret this. Like, no, it's consequential of doing this. Like, it was going to happen sooner or later, and it happened then. Like, I'm sure there could have been mitigating factors involved, but it happened. Like, these are consequences of the choices I decided to make. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to like be bitter and be like, oh my God, my life is over, I'll never do anything again. Like, no, I am blessed that I'm able to work out every day. You know what I did the whole time requiring that I didn't put on social media? I worked out in a sling the whole time. I was doing squats with one arm on the bar in a Smith machine, just squatting away. Leg pressing, only able to hold on to one side. I was doing bench presses with my only other side because it's found that could actually help preserve size on the injured side, just because your body wants to stay symmetrical. So like I was just doing all that. Like I was still doing everything, just being hindered by not being able to use one arm for a while. But I didn't complain at all. I didn't just like drop off the gym and get fat and start eating whatever the hell. Like I stayed on plan all the time. Of course I lost size. I wasn't able to work out at the same capacity that I was able to, but I did it. I did it. And when I came back, I rapidly improved right back, and I'm way past the point I was before in terms of musculature and everything, because I never stopped eating for the lifestyle. I never stopped living the lifestyle, and I didn't complain about it. If anything, it opened my mind more, because instead of complaining and doing this woe is me stuff, I started thinking about it in the context of what can I improve to be better. And I started slowing down reps more and actually focusing on feeling them more than ever, and also being forced to do them extremely slow, because coming back after that injury, if I were to go really fast, I would just re-tear my arm apart. So I was also forced to go slow, and by doing that, it changed my training style. And I didn't like that it changed my training style at first, because I'm sort of like a go in there and bang type of guy, like just like lifting sporadically with a ton of emotion and like, you know, grunting through all the reps, which I mean, I'm still gonna kind of be like that. That's how I enjoy to train, but being more methodical with it instead of just hammering out junk reps because I need to do more weight than last week, and like really focusing on the things that matter, opposed to just chasing my logbook all the time and things like that. So like, if anything, I improved as a lifter, as a bodybuilder, and as a person, having gone through that. And it just comes down to like, you know, I see people, they get hurt or something, they just drop off the face of the earth. Like, and don't get me wrong, like I was depressed. I was very depressed for a few months, healing from surgery and everything. Because like my ability to perform in the gym directly reflects my mental health. This is the thing that keeps me mentally glued together. So there was just, I was depressed not being able to work out at the capacity I would like to, but I never stopped. I didn't complain about my situation. I just focused on what I could and getting better. And I'm back better than ever. And there's still some things I'm working around, but it's not like my life is over. Like things are getting better and becoming less painful over time. And some things aren't painful at all. And I keep progressing and working around and getting better. I've actually grown my chest more despite not being able to flat bench very well right now. I was and granted, I was never a good bench presser, but I was bench pressing, I don't know, pre-injury, it was like 335 for 7. And right now, like 245 for 10 can end up hurting if I'm not extremely careful doing it. And like sometimes I get stuck on my chest with it, just initiating the movement. And like I'm not like, oh my God, my life is over, I can't bench press as much as I would like to. I'm not doing that crap. Too many people do that crap. I mean, like, I don't want to be like one of those guys that's like, oh, everyone's mentally soft. I mean, a lot of people are, but like people are just not disciplined. They're not disciplined. They're not honest with themselves. And if they were, like, a lot of people wouldn't even be working out if they were honest with themselves. You see all these kids in the gym, and they're going in there with their tripods and their cross earrings hanging off and everything, and like they won't even work out if they're not able to record it and show everyone on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. Like if there's not proof that they got up and did that in the gym, like they're not gonna go. Like they don't care about working out and being in shape. They care about the attention it will get them, even though they have no physique whatsoever to garnish attention, right? That's why you see like kids that look like they barely lift making ridiculous reels all the time, because they're like, I'm gonna pop off and be an influencer. Like they're focusing on things in the wrong order. Like they're not focused on achieving anything, they're focused on getting attention, and they're not trying to achieve anything to get the attention. And that's like a whole separate thing. But I mean, I'm already covering a lot, like just going into it right now. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, I see too much goofiness. I mean, I would love, don't get me wrong, I would love to be like down the street from a private facility and like go there all the time, only be surrounded by other bodybuilders. But it's not convenient with my schedule, right? I'm not a full-time bodybuilder yet. I mean, I very much hope I am one day. I actually want to reframe that. I will be one day. I'm gonna be confident in myself. I'm gonna bet on myself. But like, I'm working a 9 to 5. Well, actually, it's like more like a 10 to 7, but like I need to cut time away the best I can with everything. Like I live close to my job now. I never had a job like that before. I used to always do 1.5-hour commutes one way to get to work, which is terrible. Like I had times in my life like trying to coordinate that with weightlifting while working 12-hour shifts plus a 3-hour round commute. Like you end up sacrificing the sleep. I remember I like was like barely growing for a long time because I was also on my feet the whole time when I was working 12 hours a day, and I did that for like almost 2 years working at Amazon before, and I'm still going to the gym, right? I'm working 5 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. because you got to clock out and you don't get paid for your lunch, and then I'm driving home an hour and a half, or driving to work an hour and a half, driving home an hour and a half. I'm eating and passing out immediately. I'm waking up at 2 a.m. 2 to 2:30 a.m. I need to be in the gym by 3, so I have everything like laid out for me already. I'm in the gym at 3 a.m. I'm out of the gym by 4:30 because I went to a gym close to work, and I'm clocked in at 5. Like that was my life for a long time. I wasn't growing very well. Like getting fired from that job, they actually fired me for working too much, believe it or not, but getting fired from that job was the best thing ever, because I started growing like a weed, like a sponge after that. Like not being on my feet all day and actually being able to get more sleep. Like that's how important it is. But people don't realize that. Like sleep is a performance enhancing drug. And that taught me a lot too. Like I was so focused on trying to make ends meet, getting paid terrible wages, and like only wanting to work overtime because that would be livable for me. Like that's no way to live. Get a better job. Screw that. What kind of life is like? I don't even think 40 hours is reasonable. Like you should be working to live, not living to work. And I didn't understand that at that age. I would be so much farther along if I understood that younger, but I didn't. I was focused on the rat race game while still trying to lift weights and not really being sure what I wanted to do with it. And like I wasn't happy. My priorities were not lined up. I thought they were. Like you obviously think you're a know-it-all when all this is going on. You're like, I'm setting myself up for a better future. Like, nah, dude, like, why don't you try and focus a little bit more on being happy in the present? And I started growing like crazy after that, and I like restructured my whole outlook towards work in general after that, because I had the most ridiculous experience because I'm hard-headed to never be in that situation again. like the job I have right now pays very well, but if they started hammering me with 12-hour days for more than a month, I'm out. I'm gonna find another job. Bodybuilding's first. If I structure everything so this doesn't happen, but if it comes between going to work and missing a workout, I'm not going to work that day. And I don't just use my time off like crazy either. Like I like to save that kind of stuff in case a situation like this does come up, and now I can use PTO or whatever, vacation time. But that's how it is.